Hello everyone, this is Dan Riley for Sports Talk. This weekend, Kyle Newman got in an ugly crash that silenced a whole crowd at Daytona. According to reports, he has injuries that, while serious, are not life-threatening. This is both disturbing and a relief that NASCAR won't lose another driver to a fatal crash. I won't ever question the guts of drivers in NASCAR, I can tell you that. That said, we need to remind ourselves auto racing is arguably the most dangerous job in professional sports. Driving a car at 100, maybe 200 miles an hour around a track. Even with the so-called safer barriers, there was still a chance Kyle Newman was going to pass away in front of a nationwide audience. That's why I have to wonder if NASCAR really does do everything it can to protect drivers. Make better helmets, put an airbag in steering wheels, something. Because a driver's life cannot afford to be lost on national TV like it used to. Not anymore. A lot of us saw the wreck that took Dale Earnhardt's life, even people like myself, who haven't watched much NASCAR. That wreck stands in my mind as an example of how the sport of auto racing needs to understand its sport is more akin to boxing, with the risk of somebody leaving in a body bag. This isn't taking a slow 15-mile-an-hour drive down the street when you're taking your kid to school. I've done a podcast on the dangers of drunk driving, and we know the risk of going over the speed limit when we go out for a drive. Well, auto racing features elements of the latter every weekend. Which goes back to my question that NASCAR, why hasn't it put an airbag in drivers' steering wheels? Ryan Newman had the Hans device on. He had the seat belt on, but serious injury could have been minimized if some kind of an airbag was in his car. Look, it makes no sense why NASCAR has ever considered this after events like what happened with Earnhardt in 2001. Simple critical thinking like this could minimize the risk of stuff like what happened with Kyle Newman. It's not like kids wanting to be race car drivers would think twice if IndyCar, Formula One, and NASCAR did this either. They still would want to do it. If anything, parents would be far less likely to keep kids from chasing that dream. Football understands the dangers of its sport is scaring moms and dads away from letting Junior play and takes steps to attack that problem. Now more than ever, auto racing needs to do that. Greg Moore, Dale Earnhardt, Dan Weldon. The list of drivers who died on the track is too long to count. Heck, the movie Rush depicted the Nürburgring crash of Niki Lauda that some auto racing fans of a certain age remember all too well. Not a pleasant memory, to be sure. A race car is not a toy. It is a guided missile going 100 or so miles an hour around a track. Athletes in auto racing have as much to worry about involving death more than anything. Definitely as much as winning. Any driver would tell you they will gladly accept the risk of getting killed. What's inexcusable is that auto racing refuses to take all necessary steps to minimize that risk. I am flabbergasted this isn't happening. Common sense could solve sports' major problems. NASCAR is public enemy number one in that regard. Let's hope that changes soon, because what happened with Kyle Newman should wake people up. What happened with Kyle Newman cannot become the beginning of the end for auto racing. This is Dan Riley for Sports Talk on Passionate World Internet Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in, and so long.